Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Another weekly recap, lots of stuff in front of me. Got some new paper to show you. We're getting there, by the way. The challenge to find the alternative to, well, the ultimate alternative to Tomoe River paper is winding down, folks. I'm already poised and preparing for the video that will announce my findings, so to speak. Not very scientific, but very subjective, perhaps. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got some new inks that I'd like to show you. We've got a little bit of a pen haul. We're going to revisit some of the pens, and I'm going to show you my weapons for next week. I'm going to do some YouTube reviews and check out the market. So without any further ado, Fountain Pen Therapy presents its weekly recap for June the 14th, 2026. Okay, so we're back for the first segment of this recap, which is market news. What's out there? Slim pickings, as they say, but I've got some stuff that you may be interested in. Let's go to my computer. And let me just... There we go. First thing, one of my viewers sent me a series of pens that he said, you know, you're always looking for something. Here are a bunch of pens that I find are new. Some of them interested me more than others. This one is interesting just because I don't believe I saw the silver version of the Dieman M2 before. And if this is indeed new, and some of you will be able to confirm that, it means that maybe Dieman is still around. You know what I'm saying? Except I haven't seen this pen on Amazon, and I thought that Dieman now was being, sold on Amazon, the same as Asvine. They're off Etsy. I couldn't find it on Amazon CA in any event. So if this is new, this may be good news. Maybe they are still around. Or maybe this is just an old, this color came out before, and we just missed it. So in any event, I thought that was interesting. Personally, I prefer the brass and titanium. I'm going to stay away from aluminum, or this. I think it's aluminum, but in any event, it's silver. What else have we got for you? The famous Gravitas Vac 2 that I mentioned to you last week, that came out in aluminum, and I was hesitating because it's aluminum and slippery, or I think it's slippery, has now come out in titanium. It's significantly more expensive, 195 euros compared to 260 euros, but it is titanium. I may very well go for the VAC 2.0 instead of the titanium monster, just so that I can have both models. Stay tuned for that. I'll see if it's in the budget, as they say. What else have we got? One thing that surprised me, I don't believe that Omas has ever produced a pen with a steel nib. And some of you may correct me. I don't think in the old days they had OMA steel nib pens. This is the first that I've seen, or at least that attracted my attention. It's the OMA Studio Azzurro. It's $268 US with a steel nib. I'm very curious to see what kind of a nib that is. I don't believe they tell us if it's in-house or not. High quality stainless steel nib. The OMA Studio fountain pen is available. Extra fine, medium, and broad. It's something maybe that I'm going to have to look into and do a little more research, but it attracted my attention. And it too looks like it's offering, steel nibbed pens. Speaking of which, on Goulet Pens, I found a Pro Gear, the Lucky Charm, with their steel nib, Sailor steel nib. Stay tuned. I'm trying to gather as many samples as I can before I can do a video on comparing the gold, the 14 karat, the 21 karat, which is, from what I understand, now gone, and there's the new 18 karat Sailor. Seeing if I can kind of compile all of them, then we can do a real comparison review. What else have I got for you? Oh, Gaydon Leathers has come out with a bunch of new products, and you see several reviewers have received those products for free. Lucky them. And including Hemingway Jones, and they're going through all of them right now. There is this one that I've ordered, but I've paid for it, which I'm going to be receiving very soon. In fact, if I receive it while I'm taping this recap, I may very well present it to you later on in another separate segment. I suspect it's coming in FedEx any minute now, so stay tuned for that. I'd like to eventually compare that one to the And Lieb, my And Lieb, which is a very, very similar product, Japanese product, and we might do a comparison. Stay tuned for that. So in any event, some very interesting new products. They have this 12 pen, very soft leather, a 3 pen. They have this organizer, zipped up organizer, a little nib circle case just for your nibs. They have the compendium. Where's that? Oh, yeah, there's this casing as well, which looks very, very interesting. Appears to be sold out already. So this compendium is also very interesting for those of you who like to travel with some, stationery, pens, notebooks, etc. What I find interesting about this one that I've ordered is that I can combine 6 pens, put in here probably an A6, I'm hoping anyway, an A6 notebook, zip it up, and I'm ready to go. So that looks very, very interesting. What else have I got for you? Oh, Goulet Pens, Conklin 1898. What's interesting is that they're coming out with a stabilized wood. So I don't know if this is inspired by the Chinese market, but you can see that now even Conklin has joined the bandwagon. It's $116, stabilized wood pen. We've seen several by Asvine, Hongdian for much, much less than that. These Conklins now do have Yowo nibs, however. Interesting. Compared to prices, compared to product, I might just order one just to compare. We shall see. So that's it for what's new in the market, folks. If you have anything out there, let me know. Anything that we should be interested, that you want to share with us, please do so in the comments. And if not, I will pick them up and present them to you next week. Stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, so we're back with paper. What have I got for you this week? Well, I've got two Tomo River products, one from China, which on some sites is referred to as simply Tomo River paper. There's no real specification as to whether it's Sanson or anything else. Another seller, I've seen it referred to as BACHUAN, which some people are saying is just a Chinese naming of Tomo River paper. In other words, there is some rumor that maybe BACHUAN is a different paper, but I've got the feeling over time that we're really talking about Tomo River paper, just given a Chinese name, if you will. And I've got the original Tomo River number 7 machine paper notebook that I purchased from Danica 58, which I believe I showed you a glimpse last week. So those are the two notebooks I like to show you. So let's go to my overhead camera. Here they are. This is the product that I was talking to you about. It's known as Bimo Park Studio. Flexible notebook, really nice feeling. Not a very hard cover. The paper is certainly Tomo River Smooth and Tomo River 52 GSM. It's a larger grid there, as you can see, much larger than that you find, for example, on an Albonici notebook. I like these grids personally. And then, of course, you have this notebook that I purchased from Danica 58. Let me just take out the wrapper. I purchased quite a few of these, and then when I went back to put them on my shelf, I realized I already had some of them, and I just forget where I purchased them. These are touted to be the original number 7 machine notebooks, or what's left of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to test both of them. This one's a blank paper. We're going to test both. We'll do some swatching on both, and we'll kind of see the difference. And I think I can quickly come to the conclusion as to whether or not there's anything original about this Tomo River paper from China, or if it's in fact Sanson or any version in between, whether it's the bad Sanson that we've been exposed to a year or two ago, or whether it's the new Sanson that's supposed to be new and improved. We will check that out. So those are the two notebooks I have for you. I got to tell you, this is pretty simple. I really like the feel of this notebook. I mean, this is what Tomo River is all about, though, eh, folks? It opens up wherever you go. It's thin paper. I'm doing my review. I'm starting to do the video where I'm going to review all the notebooks. And that's, the first part will be no doubt to demonstrate to you why or what's so special about Tomo River. And the feel of this notebook is just absolutely, it really, really is nice. But having said that, I don't want to spoil the video. So that's it. That's it for the notebooks. I'm going to set up and show you the inks that I've got for you this week. Okay, you see on the screen, those are the inks I purchased. I want to show you where I got them. I got them on AliExpress. I don't believe I saw them elsewhere. There were quite a few colors. I chose these 4 colors, kind of a brown. I realized I don't have, some nice dark brown inks, or I don't have several, or don't have many. And I wanted to test this brown. This is kind of a reddish brown. Then I've got a darker green and what looks like a nice blue. Now, these inks don't really have a name. When you click on them, you see a bottle which is 60 milliliters. It's $11.89 Canadian. Let me just, do they show the bottles? No. I thought there was a somewhere where they captured the bottle itself, but you'll see the bottle in a second. But as you can see, there's much selection there. I mean, you got all kinds of blues, all kinds of greens, purples, reds. So quite a bit. 60 milliliters for, what is it, $12. Free shipping. I figured I'd test 4 of these and see what gives. So there you have it. Let's go to my overhead camera and I'll show you the inks. These are the bottles. Okay, so they are what looks like it's plastic, but nice big bottles. So lots of ink. So if these inks perform, then it's a real bargain. I've got a feeling that there's not much difference between the brown and the red when I look at at least the label. I'm expecting the blue and the green to be, something of interest. We shall see. But there you have it. And there's really no name for them other than what they call them. What do they call them? They don't really say. A pen ink, dip pen ink, 60 milliliter fountain pen ink. That's what I see on the bottle. Pen ink. There may be some branding there in Chinese, but other than that, maybe what I'll do is I'll scan just the Chinese writing just to see if there's anything of interest there. And if I find anything, I'll put it up on the screen. Okay, so those are the inks. These are the notebooks we're going to be testing. Let me get the water set up and we'll do the swatching. Okay, so we're back. Here's my folded pen. Here's my Eureka dip pen. Now, one of the viewers mentioned, the swatching that you do, these big blobs of ink, which, if you, depending on how if your paper is flat or not, might drip to the left, to the right, not very accurate. Nobody, we don't write with these big blobs. I agree. I don't think these swatching are meant to really reproduce what these inks look like when you write with them in a inked fountain pen. I think the fun of swatching is to just get a bunch of ink on paper, one, to see how the paper reacts in terms of how it shows the ink. And secondly, it's also meant to just see the color of the ink, see if it's got any sheen, if it's got any shimmer or some shading. I agree, it's not very scientific, but that's the fun part of swatching. So yes, it's not meant to reproduce what a fountain pen does. That's why we do some writing with the inks as well. So in any event, that's what swatching is all about, at least in my mind, in any event. Okay, so let's start with, we're going to try to put that red or that reddish brown and the brown next to each other just so that we can compare them. Because I just got a feeling, I opened the bottles before, and I just got a feeling I don't see much of a difference, so we shall see. Oh yeah, this is a nice dark brown, which I always like. Little more texture on the original Toma River. I can sense it, feel it right away. Which is to be expected because from what I understand, the Sanson is just slightly a little more coated. So I'm just going to put here Chinese, just for my own sake, 60 milliliter, dark brown. Feel very similar with the dip pen, I can tell you that. How much difference there? But I'm sure that with a fountain pen we'll be able to figure this out. It looks like this is drying quicker than that one, but I may be wrong. Where's the other brown? Just we'll put it next to each other so that when they dry we can tell. Hopefully there's a difference. Well, so far there isn't. Oh, okay, I see. There's a little bit of that reddish tint. I can tell right away. Yeah, you can tell that on the original Tomo River paper, there's a little more friction when I apply the swatch. See some ghosting though, some feathering up there. We shall see. Chinese, 60 milliliter. Is there a color? Let me just see. 1 second. Just bear with me. I think I'm going to call it rust brown. Yeah, hold on, is it this one? Yeah, dark red. I'm going to put it rust brown. Because it's more brown than red. I don't see the red there at all. Chinese, 60 milliliter. Oh, botch that up. Rust brown. So far, until it's dried, can't tell the difference, but I can see a little more red tint. In hindsight, I should have chosen just a simple red. Okay, what do we go with next? We'll go with the green next. Little bit of feathering. Not really. Okay, well, that's a nice dark green. There we go. Definitely, it's much smoother on that Chinese paper. And of course, the real test is going to be in putting this ink in pens. Just going to call it green. Actually, if you give me a minute, because now I'm being lazy, I'm going to get the real colors, because if any of these inks interest you, or at least the colors do, then I do want to make sure you choose the right one. So give me a second. Okay, I'm back with the inks. Let's just take a look at these inks and see what they're all about, and also the paper. First of all, the inks, from what I can tell, pretty standard inks. I don't see much sheen or shading. I do see a little more shading and sheen on the Tomo River than I do on this Chinese pretender, as I like to call it, because I think it is a pretender. I'm not sure what kind of Tomo River this is, but take a look at this, folks. Buyer beware. There's bleeding. It's just not ghosting. There's bleeding. I don't like the look of that. And right through the other page. And the inks are pretty, standard dry inks. Right down to the third page. It's kind of also put a wet feel for the rest of it that I've been testing. So I'm not sure that I really would buy this. Here's what the inks look like on normal Tomo River. There is some ghosting like you usually expect, and the inks do kind of penetrate there. So is there maybe too much water in these inks? Perhaps. I can also see the same kind of penetration there. So there you have it. But then I wanted to show you, I did the same swatching on this paper. This is a Toma River paper that I bought in loose sheets. Now the penetration is there. Look at there's very little ghosting. Okay, there's no bleed through. And the ink's giving me sheen here. See the sheen on the blue? There's a little more variety. Look at the red. Brown is pretty flat, but the dark red gives me some sheen there. So it just goes to show you now that these Toma River products, you never know what you're getting. And, they're being sold for all kinds of things. But there you have it. I thought I'd show you that you can get some very different results. And very difficult to, establish what you're buying. That's, I guess, where the advantage of buying, for example, the Hobonichi. If you buy an Hobonichi, it costs you a fortune, but you know where it's coming from. You know it's backed by a big machine, very popular. When they had the Sanson disaster that year, they immediately took steps to get their supplier to improve the paper. It's one of my alternatives for sure, and we'll see that in my video. And the product's been improved. They were obliged to improve that Sanson. And at least you know what you're buying and who you're buying it from. But when you're buying this kind of obscure, no-name sort of, outfit, pretending it to be Toma River, feels like Toma River, but just doesn't give you the oomph. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. On the other hand, Hobonichi cost me $70, $80 to get to my house. This thing cost me less than $20. So there is a difference. This is Toma River, number 7. And even there, I don't see that electricity that I see on this Toma River loose sheet. So why? Not sure. I'm not sure. Anyway, there you have it. The wonderful world of paper. We never know what we're getting. Stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, we've done the paper, we've done the ink. Now let's take a look at what pens I have for you. Where here they are. These are 3 pens that I've received over the last several weeks, and this one I received this week. I thought I'd show it to you. This is it completes my set. I've been trying to get the set of the 628, the Wingsung 628, 629, 630, and the 930 in this ivory finish. And this completes the set. It's the 628. Now, why is my camera not cooperating? Let's just go a little more. Here we go. 628 with the original Wingsung nibs. Okay. It's not, I don't think they have, this is a smaller nib. I don't think they have the new ones for this size, at least not for the 628. From what I see, it looks like the old Wingsung branded nibs. Okay, my recollection is these are pretty smooth. We shall see. It's a fine. So that's the 628. The other one you might say, well, wait a minute, we've seen this before. Yeah, indeed. Now, there was a mistake in the delivery. I already have, this is the Hongdian N23. I already have an N23. I believe that they offer this in different colors, but and maybe it's just me. I just reordered the same pen, but for a different reason. That's because this pen, first of all, it was really cheaply priced in Taobao, and secondly, it comes with this new Fullen flex nib. What I've been trying to do is trying to assemble all the different sizes of this nib. The 0.38, the 0.5, I think they have the 0.8, the 1. This one is a 0.5, so it should be a fine. And I want to do a video just comparing them all. Of course, what this raises, and it really concerns me, is that how can it be that this Ongdian has this nib? Now, that means it's somebody either bought a bunch of Ongdian N23s and put that nib in, or are these pens being unloaded, if you know what I mean? I don't know, but it just doesn't augur well for Ongdian. Is Ongdian doing this? In other words, are they collaborating with that Fullen nib maker? Are they the same people? Of course, that's always something that we, as fountain pen lovers, don't like about the Chinese market. It's never clear, it's never straightforward, unlike Japanese or the Italians. I mean, you know what you're getting and you know who you're getting it from. But it raises some questions as to whether or not Ongdian is still alive, But the purpose I got this pen is to test that nib, so we will take a look at it. By the way, I've inked this with that new Chinese ink that we just saw, the blue, so we'll be able to see what the blue looks like in a pen. So there you have it. So those are the two that you see there. Then I ordered this one, familiar brand, BACHUAN. We haven't seen very much from them this year. And this is one of their new offerings. Let me just, does it open? Which way does it open? Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, regular, manual that you see in several offerings. And it's this little RS3. Now, I can tell you that normally I don't think I would have ordered this pen. Had this been a couple of years ago where BACHUAN was, coming out with all kinds of offerings. But because we have slim pickings, so to speak, I figured, and several of you mentioned that, I figured I'd take one for the channel and show you the new RS3, and maybe we'll do some comparisons when I do a detailed review of this pen. I will refrain from making any comments. I did purchase it with a Moonman BACHUAN nib, so nothing special there. There's the offering. Stay tuned, I might do a detailed review. I've also ordered the RS2, so if I get the RS2 and the RS3 in time for next Wednesday, maybe I'll publish a video reviewing both. There you have it. Not something that I would normally go for, but I figure since some of you may be interested that for the channel, I take one for us. Why not? BACHUAN writing instruments. There you have it. So that is the pen haul for this week. Stay tuned. I've got some revisiting to do. I also want to show you a comparison. I'm just going to show you the whole set of my Wingsungs, and I've inked up most of those other Wingsungs with the new inks, so we'll be able at the same time to test those new inks as well. I will be right back. Okay, so we're back with the Pens Revisited segment, and I wanted to kind of come back to this notebook, and so far I've not been impressed, and it's certainly not performing, as we saw, as good Tomoe River paper should perform. And what I thought I'd do is try just to see how it performs with actual pens. So we'll do our entire, or most of our Pens Revisited segment on this Chinese BACHUAN Tomoe River pretender, so to speak. Okay, just in case you have been tempted to, because it is quite cheap. I think it's going for like, if I'm not mistaken, I'll tell you, I forgot to mention it earlier, it's going for $15 on Taobao. Now, that's without shipping, but if you consolidate your shipments, it costs you about $15 for quite a, I think there's like 300 pages here. But if it's not going to perform, then buyer beware. Okay, so let's do some writing and see how it performs with actual pens, and if it gives us a little more, what it should give us. Okay, now, first thing, let's take a look at this flex nib in this N23. And at the same time, we'll take a look at that blue ink that we just purchased. The pen does post, but just barely. So this is the... No, I'm not going to post it. I feel like it's about to fall. Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Hongdian. Well, I don't feel any flex here, folks. N23. The nib is a Fullen 05 flex. Not much flex there, folks, I can tell you. Pretty stiff. The ink, and you guys will know what I mean, is that Chinese 60 milliliter crystal blue. Now, is it the ink that's so, no flow? Or is it the pen? Well, we'll take a look at the other inks in a second. I can tell you the pen is not, it's skipping. It's not perfect. The flow is not there. Is it the ink? Is it the, let's do the inquiring minds test where you just do, maybe we just have to kind of break it in. You know what I'm saying? Let's redo fountain pen therapy. No, you see, skipping here. Very, very disappointed so far. I can tell you, folks, this is not... Paper is sticky, but it's difficult to say whether it's the paper or the nib or even the ink that's just not flowing properly. Let's test it. I don't have one of those new inks in this one. This is my 628. I forget the ink I have. Maybe by writing I'll remember. Does this post? I think it does. Yeah, because it's a smaller pen. So this is the Wing Sung. Well, it's not the paper. Okay, 68 in ivory with the Wing Sung fine nib. But the paper is not Tomo River quality. Now, is it? I've got a feeling it's the old the bad Sanson, because it's sticky. And flow is not great. I would not recommend this paper, folks. I don't know what it is. It's too bad because it's got the same feel, but it's just not giving me what I would expect from Tomo River. So those are in two pens. At least the flow is a little better. I want to see whether or not the other inks. And in that regard, what I want to show you is, I want to revisit two pens for you. And somebody asked me last week to compare. Maybe we'll go to the next page. Oh no, we got some space here. To compare the Monster with the 930, and we'll take a look at the 930 in a second. And also, I wanted to revisit this pen, which is the Gravitas, and we'll test the paper with this for sure. This is the Gravitas Monster in the aluminum finish that I find a little bit slippery here, even though it has all these, let me just focus. Does it focus? No, it doesn't. It has all these grooves that's supposed to help. It doesn't help very much. So I was hesitating on whether getting the new Gravitas VAC 2.0, but they now come out with the, as I mentioned, the Gravitas VAC 2.0 in titanium. I think they're going to announce it in a couple of days. But I thought maybe we would revisit this paper. Yeah, folks. I mean, even one characteristic about the broad number 6 or number 8 nib on this pen is that it's ultra smooth and flows well. First of all, under real Tomoe River, this is much thicker line. The flow is sticky. So there's something wrong with this paper. And my feeling is that this is probably that bad batch of Sanson Tomoe River paper that's been bound and they're now selling it. So I did want to test it. But stay tuned for the VAC 2.0. I might get that titanium one. I'm tempted to get the Monster in titanium, but I figure I have one already. Maybe I'll get the VAC 2.0, but we shall see. So that's that. Now, let's take a look at all of the Wing Sung collection that I have in ivory, and we'll do some writing. Okay? Be right back. I'll set it all up. So here they are, folks. Isn't that nice? I got my 930. This is the Pope version of it. Let me just see what's wrong with my... There we go. Focus is always problematic. It just varies from clip to clip. Let me just see if this focuses a little bit better. There you go. There you have it. That's the Pope pen. That's the Pope version of this pen. One of the things that I had to kind of wash these pens out so that we could test the new inks. And it made me realize, it's still a little bit wet, made me realize how easy these pens are to clean. You unscrew the nib. You could even pull out the nib. Frankly, they're friction fit. And just let water go in that piston. It washes out really nicely, really quickly. Not much of a problem, I got to tell you. It was really quicker, probably even quicker than cleaning out a converter. Sorry about the inky ends. Yeah, so that's the 930. These are two 630s. This is a 630 with the Wing Sung nib. Not ground to any specific special grind. This has a special grind. This is my 630 with a stub grind on the nib, which is really nice. Again, my focus is not doing well, but you could see the top part there. It's just been cut off by a Chinese pen on Etsy. So that's that. This is my 629. Now I noticed that the difference between the 629 and 630 is not in length, but rather in girth. And then, of course, you have my smaller 628, which is much smaller. But I like this. I like the set. I think what I'm going to do is probably get a silver 630 with the black finials, just to make the set complete and the same. But there you have it. So why don't we do some writing with these pens, right? So let me get my notebook and be right back. Okay, so we're back. Same notebook. As you can tell from the other side, ghosting is a little too much, and there's actually bleed through. So the paper is either thinner or it's just not up to snuff. So I don't recommend purchasing it. Oh, I see a little bit of ink there that I should remove. So this is the 930. I've put in here, what did I put in here? The brown one. That's the brown, okay? So this is the Wing Sung .930. This is the Pope pen. I don't think there's anything wrong with the ink per se. The nib is the number 9 broad. Again, the paper is sticky. And the ink is that Chinese 60 milliliter, and they called it coffee. So there's nothing really wrong with the ink. It's not anything special, but the flow is okay. Of course, this is a juicy broad nib, and the paper is just not up to stuff. Okay, let me just clean my hands here. Let's go to the next one. This is the dark red ink in this 630 with the stub. Let's just see how the stub does. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the ink. This is the 630, and the nib is the Wing Sung number 8, but it's been ground to a stub. As you can see, the ink, you can see the difference between the coffee and the dark red once you ink it. So there you go. For that viewer who was wondering about swatching, sometimes you're absolutely right. Swatching doesn't tell the full story. I even see more shading when I write with the ink than I did when I swatched it. Very nice. Paper again, sticky. What else have I got? In here, what did I put in here? I think I put in the green one in this one. This one's got a extra fine. Yeah, this has got an extra fine. Sorry, I could still have some water from the cleaning, but yeah, you see the ink is not Wing Sung. This is the 630 nib. Doesn't work well with a fine nib, I can tell you that much. It's a Wing Sung. There's no flow there. This is a number 8, but it's a fine. I had in here Konpeki before, and it was one of my favorite fine nib pens. The flow was beautiful, it was smooth. This ink is a little too light for it. So maybe we'll test the green ink in a thicker pen or a thicker nib just to see what kind of results we get. But there you have the Wing Sung 630 with the extra fine nib. Just for the fun of it, we'll complete. I don't think there's... No, this is but already inked. This is my Wing Sung .629. It's got a Wing Sung, the old style. I think it's the old style. Yeah, Wing Sung fine nib. I forget the ink, but it's not the blue ink that we just swatched in this episode. Okay, so there you have it. That's the 628 I've shown you already. There you have it, my entire Ivory Wing Sung 630 collection. There you have it. Be right back. I did want to come back with that green ink, which is the Chinese green ink that we just swatched. We did see a sample of it here with an extra fine nib or with a fine nib, and you can see it's a very light green, an olive, okay? But I took out this pen. This is a big Ranga pen, but it's got a Mr. Cypress Fude nib. And take a look at the difference between the shades of green that come out when you have I don't know how to write with these pens, but as you can see, the olive shading is a lot greener when you have a thicker line. Is certainly less olive than when you have a fine line. I think this ink personally is meant for pens that are a little, wider nib. I think perfect for but maybe that's just me, because some people like this light inks, I don't. They've got to be, this is my style, a little more intense. But I think with a stub, and I couldn't find a stub pen that wasn't inked, frankly, quickly, but I found this one. But you could see the difference, eh? You could see the difference. I think there's nothing wrong with the ink. It's just a pretty straightforward ink. It's not too intense. It's kind of on the dry side, I would say to you. It's not a very wet. It's certainly not as saturated as Iro Shizuku, that's for sure. But everyday use at $11 for 60 milliliters, I think it's very, very good. So there you have it. I just wanted to revisit that green ink, the olive. Be right back. Now, I did want to just come back to, why this aluminum finished monster is so slippery. And it just, I'm starting to think that aluminum is not my favorite, pen material. Just to give you an indication, I mean, this is a big section, okay? And that's where problems start. I think if it was a smaller section, be easier to control, but it takes just a bit to get used to. Once you get used to it, you kind of find the gripping. But to show you the difference, I said to myself, do I have a big titanium sectioned nib? This is it. This is a kind of a no-name Montefiore, I forget, or JD edition, where you have this huge section with a number 8. I've put in there a Majon medium nib, I believe. No, fine nib. Is this the new or the old? I think this is the new. But the feel is so different. So this is let's call it the JD Big Pen, Big Titanium Pen, because there is really no name for it. By the way, this paper is so sticky. Don't recommend it. Fountain Pen Therapy, you can see that I have no problem with the grip. Something about titanium that just I love it. I love it. I have my titanium pen set, or all my titanium pens, and every time I can get my hands on one, I do. It's great material, just a great material. Anyway, I wanted to revisit the difference between the aluminum big sectioned nib and a big sectioned titanium nib. There you have it. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Speaking of big sectioned nibs, one of you asked me to compare this Canwright Mammoth, which has this huge number 9 size nib, as you can tell, and compare it to my 930 that, let's face it, my 930 was the last year's Chinese pen of the year. You can see the two nibs there. The 930 looks even bigger, but just because it's I think the Canwright is, the nib is, it goes into the section a little more, but as you can tell, big feeds. Okay, both just very nice pens. So compare the two. This is the Wing Sung 930 number 9. Broad nib. Let's put that one aside. And this is it a fine or a medium? I forget now. Maybe even a broad. I think this is a broad as well. This is my, whoop, I just inked it. Okay, here we go. Canwright Mammoth. By the way, this one has that red, dark red Chinese ink. It's got a number 9 size nib. I don't think this is broad. I think this is a medium. But I got to tell you, I prefer the Wing Sung. And this ink, I can tell right away, is fairly dry. The pen did have Irojisuku Yamabudo before, and when I was doing some of the testing for the review or for the recap, it wrote much nicer than this. So that Chinese ink we just did is a little on the dry side, but on the other hand, it dries quicker. So that's the advantage. But if I'm to compare the two, I would say to you that the Wing Sung is much smoother than the Canwright. So there you have it for that viewer who asked me to compare the two, the Mammoth or the 930. At the end of the day, two beautiful pens that are worthy of being in anyone's collection. Very nice. Be right back. Now, speaking of Wing Sungs, you'll remember that last week, and maybe I should bring up here we go. On my computer, let me switch to my computer. I had mentioned that I saw on the AliExpress site Wing Sungs being offered without a center band. And the same thing with the P136. As you can see here, there's no center band. And I thought that was a nice touch. But viewers have written to me saying that they've actually asked the question to some of the sellers, and what seems to be coming back as an answer is that it's just a picture where they've eliminated the center band. One viewer suspected that because the pen looks like, a Mont Blanc or a Sailor KOP, King of Pens, that maybe when they were doing the photographing to avoid any major, patent issues, etc., they eliminated the center band to make it look different, if you will. But the pen actually does have a center band. So I'm not convinced that these pens do not have center bands. So I would be careful. And I apologize if I misled you, but the photographs misled me. And hopefully I've not induced anybody into buying these pens without the center band. I certainly almost pulled the plug on the P136 and then held back when I saw the comment. So I thought I'd share that with you. Ask the seller if you see anything and see what the seller comes back with. If not, you're entitled to return it because it's misleading advertising, as they say. Okay? Be right back. Okay, the last pens that I want to revisit are my Panda Dwarf pen that I reviewed last week. Now, the video didn't do very well, I can tell you. It one of my worst videos. I also was accused of not being fairly objective with the pen because I received it for review. Several of you thought that perhaps I was exaggerating how nice the pen was. Several of you complained about the price, etc. But I thought I'd revisit the pens. Look, folks, I think you know me by now. I spend, I got to tell you, I'm going to confess, I spend thousands of dollars a month to feed this channel. Okay? I have no illusions. I enjoy it thoroughly, not complaining. But if I receive a pen, one pen for free, maybe once every 2 or 3 months, and the individual asks me to review it. Now, I've received many offers, and I've said no to them, several of them, just because I didn't like the pen. Simple. So I'm not going to do a review of a pen where the person is expecting you're going to say something positive about the pen. Let's face it. Frankly, I've never seen a review of a pen that was given to a reviewer for free as a gift that didn't have some positive twist to it. Okay? So if I see the pen, or in my transactions with my exchanges with the outfit or the person who's asking me to review, it's not a positive one, I say no, thank you very much. When I saw the Panda Dwarf and I saw pictures, I love this pen right off the bat. When I say that the pen is nice, I got to tell you folks, I don't know what you find not nice about this pen. Let's revisit it, okay? And again, I'm not trying to sell it. Let me just go to my overhead camera, folks. This is, to me, a gorgeous pen. There's no other way for me to spin it. It's a piston filler. It's got beautiful satin gold finish. It's got some very intricate work. The barrel and the cap with that bamboo motif, I find really, really nice. I have several pens with this kind of finish, and I enjoy each and every one of them. I have the BACHUAN. I have a couple of Ongdians. There is an ink window, nice section. There's a Schmidt nib that never fail. Okay, big sized pen, as I mentioned. Piston filler. Some very nice decorative work. And I don't find it's over the top like, the D6 or even the D5. Now, does it look like an Ongdian pen? Absolutely. If I would have put this up as the Ongdian D8, you guys would have gone crazy. Let's face it. So I think the only reason why this pen does not appear to be as attractive. Now, I agree that the purple doesn't have the same kind of look as the green. You don't see the intricate bamboo motif in the purple as much as you do in the green. You still do, and sometimes the camera, see, it's not focusing properly, doesn't do justice to it. But I like the purple, but I agree that the green is nicer. So at the end of the day, but you either knew about the price, so you never clicked to review the pen, to see the review, or for some reason something turned you off. I think the major drawback here is the price. It goes for about $200 Canadian. And several of you said, the Chinese pens are much cheaper. This is just another Chinese pen, etc. But you know what? Maybe that's why Ongdian is no longer around. It's impossible to produce pens at that price. Maybe that explains why Asvine has come up with nothing. We're in the month of July, almost, or mid-June. I think we saw, one pen? The G16, the Ebonite? And I'm not even sure if that came out last year or this year. BACHUAN, I haven't seen anything from BACHUAN other than that nib and the RS3 that I showed you earlier, and the RS2. I haven't seen much from them either. Pen BBS died for all intents and purposes. They come up with maybe a pen or two a year. They're really concentrating on nibs. Wing Sung, I haven't seen anything from Wing Sung to speak of. So maybe that explains that, our Chinese market is kind of changing, and it's no longer possible to produce pens at 40, 50 bucks and for long term. This is an individual. This is what he's starting out. I thought that he did a Kickstarter, and he's indicated that he's going to produce other pens. He's noted the fact that the pen doesn't post. He also took note of the fact that the clip is not usable, and he's thinking about incorporating those comments into some future offerings. We'll see. Is it just another Chinese pen manufacturer producing kind of a standard Chinese pen, holding themselves out as being individuals? I don't know. But I truly, truly like this pen. I've used it all week. I will continue to use it. There is nothing wrong with it. Now, of course, I received it for free, and to spend $200 on this pen is really up to you folks. And I agree that the price it's not cheap. But you know what? Take a look at the market, and it's slow. There's nothing new. The Japanese have gone absolutely crazy. I'm so disappointed with them. Their pens are now totally unaffordable, just like Italian pens. We're seeing the same pens being rehashed, and different colors and maybe some different materials, but we're not seeing anything spectacular out there. And our Chinese market, for me, was my kind of go-to when it came time to find variety and good pricing, but nothing's coming out. So maybe things have changed, folks. Anyway, I thought I'd address it. I still think it's a gorgeous pen. So there you have it. I felt a little bit insulted by the fact that some of you may have, subtly questioned my integrity or my honesty or my objectivity. Let's just put it that way with this pen. Yes, subjectively speaking, there is this inducement for you to kind of, give it a nice light. But I did mention that the price was expensive. There's no way around that. But on the other hand, the others that are cheap are not offering anything. We shall see. We shall see. Be right back. Okay, so we're back with weapons for next week. The theme for this week is going to be, I thought I looked at some fine nibs, some of my favorite fine nibs. I thought I'd go back in my collection and take out some of my favorite medium nibs. I realized I don't have that many, and in particular non-Chinese medium nibs, okay? Because some of my favorite medium nibs happen to be some of those Chinese nibs. So we'll put that, perhaps reserve that for another category for another time. So I went in my collection and took some of my favorite medium nibs. I thought I'd share that with you, and that will be, I have 11 pens, and those are going to be my 11 pens for next week. Okay, so let's go to my overhead camera and show you what I've got. Here they are. There's a variety. You can see there's some Pelicans, there's some Italian pens, there's some German pens, and some English pens as well. And we'll take a look at all that, and I'll tell you from these 11 which one is my favorite in due course. So let's take out the notebook. I think we're going to do some writing on this notebook just to see how it all works out. So Toma River. Let's focus in a little more. Okay, first up is this little M400 from Pelican with a medium-sized nib, smaller nib, but medium. So this is my Pelican M400. One thing you notice about Pelican, and it's in blue, is that no matter how long they've been away, you pick them up and if they got any ink in them, they write. It's just fabulous. So this has got a Pelican medium nib. Is it 14 karat or 18 karat? 14 karat. Just writes the first time and all the time. I hadn't written with this in a while, so that's the Pelican. Nice little pen. Next up is an Italian pen, Aurora Talentum. Very nice. Nice, beautiful nibs Aurora have in-house. And most of my nibs from Aurora are fine or flex fine. This one's a medium. Just the right amount of scribing noise and feedback. Smooth. I haven't written for the pen. I haven't written with this in months, and it writes right off the bat. What I have for you next? My Karen. Waterman Karen. I'm so glad I got the medium nib. I was so disappointed. I bought this pen originally with a fine nib. Because it only came in fine, it was a good price on Amazon. It's the cheaper black version of the Karen, and then I ended up buying just the nib or the nib section medium, and I don't regret it. The fine was a real disappointment, but this medium is good. In fact, if I can find broad, I'll probably get it as well. So this is the Waterman Karen with an 18 karat medium nib. This one too, after months of non-use, it just writes. Very nice. Next. This is a Navlor. Now, they're not one of my favorite brands, but the reason why I have this pen to show you is because it's got a different nib. I hate the Navlor nibs. I just don't appreciate them at all. This is an Italian Ancora medium nib, 18 karat. Let me just see if it writes. Yeah. Ancora 18 karat. Medium nib. The pen that it came in broke on me, so I did want to recycle the nib, and so I decided to put it in this Navlor. It's transformed this Nautilus. I like this Nautilus, mind you. I can't, I don't think I need 6 of them. One is enough. I like the design of the Nautilus with the little Nautilus with the marine motif here, and with that Ancora nib makes it all that more special. So there you have it, Ancora. Next, my much maligned Churchill, Conway Stewart, an icon. My problem with this pen is that it dries up on me a bit too quickly. So I had to kind of push it along for it to work. But this is the Conway Stewart Churchill. The nib is fabulous. It's an 18 karat, soft and bouncy. when it writes, it just dries up on me. I'm going to keep this pen out maybe for a little while longer than just this week, just to test it, to see how long it lasts in terms of before it dries up on me. Otherwise, it's just an icon. Beautiful pen. Okay, let's write on this side. You can see some of the ghosting here. A little more than some of my other Tomo River paper. Then you have the Diplomat, the Arrow. I have a couple of them. I also have the Nexus. I find their nibs, they do something to them. Everybody's in agreement that they must do something to their Yowo nibs to make them so smooth and performing. I do have some ink there because this one I had to ink because there was no ink in it. So this is Diplomat. And there you have it again. That slippery aluminum section is just not for me. Arrow. This is a Yowo medium nib. And it's just so smooth. By the way, this one, I also pulled out the Nexus, but I'm not going to use it. I kind of regret buying this pen. I mean, it's nice to have in my collection, but man, this section, talk about aluminum, this is so slippery. I can't deal with it. And it too, this is the Nexus. I had to prime it. It was dry. So I had a dry nib. And you can tell it's even not writing properly now. It's supposed to keep it shut, but it has that mechanism. It doesn't work. I prefer the Arrow, frankly. Much cheaper, too. Well, an icon. My Mont Blanc 149 medium is just, this thing writes. I mean, look, they're overpriced, they're overhyped, but they're just a great writing instrument, unfortunately or fortunately for all of us. And talk about a nib that never stops writing. This thing is always inked for me because whenever I want a pen that I'm certain will write, this is one for sure. Just a beautiful, beautiful writing instrument. I'm glad my nib is good. You know, gift from the wife. By the way, I've got another one coming. It's a surprise that I picked up at an auction. We'll show you that as soon as I get it. Next, what do I have? I have this Joya. And it's got a Yowo nib. It's probably one of my favorite Yowo medium nibs. So this is the Joya Capo di Monte. And it's got a 14 karat. It's got a number 6 steel Yowo medium nib. Very smooth. Beautiful pen. Really like this pen. Took me a little while to find one at a good price way back when. I really wanted it in the 1.1 stub, but I couldn't find it. So I got it in the medium, and, you know, now years later, I don't regret it. I had too many stubs, so nice pen, Capo di Monte. Next, I have a couple of Viscontis for you. So I chose this one. This one is the Mirage Mythos Apollo. I don't like the mechanism here. I got to tell you, I it's not like the Visconti Homo sapiens. I'm not sure how to open it, and I end up just pulling it out, and I think I've kind of ruined the whole mechanism. But this is just a nice pen. It doesn't post great, but really, really nice pen. And so this is the Visconti. The reason why I chose it is Mirage Mythos Apollo. It's got everybody is saying that this is a Schmidt nib. So it's a number 6 steel, and it's a medium. As an example, I think the Schmidt medium nibs are really nice. I think the broad are even nicer. But very nice nib. Good choice from Visconti. That's what I understand. These are in fact Schmidt nibs. They've been, Visconti branded, etc. But deep down, at the end of the day, they are. Why isn't it not going in? Did I break this? Whoa. Something's wrong here. That's interesting. The pen's not going. I can't put the pen inside. I must have broken something. Isn't that interesting? There's a hole there, but I can't put the pen in. What did I do to this pen? Stay tuned, folks. Let me figure it out. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've been playing around with this for about an hour now. I think I ruined this pen. For some reason, I've got a feeling that inner sleeve kind of was pulled out. At one point, it was up to here. I pushed the sleeve as much as I could down, but it's not quite there. It's not engaging on the magnet. If I do remove the nib, it's the nib that's prevent. I even bent the nib a little bit. It engages, as you can see. So what that means is that for some reason, when I put back the nib inside, and I did bend it already a little bit, it's touching the bottom of that inner sleeve, and for some reason it's not going deep enough. So I may have the whole sleeve, I may have just pulled it right up, trying to push it down as much as I could, but I'm missing just a few millimeters to get it to engage. It doesn't, so I've ruined my Mirage, folks. There you have it. Okay, let's keep going here. Sorry about that. What else have I got? Well, speak about Visconti. I have another Visconti. This is the Van Gogh. Always liked the nib on this pen. Very juicy, as you could see. This is the Van Gogh. Just has a little bit of feedback. Very, very juicy medium. Very nice. So that's the Visconti Van Gogh. Then the last but not least, I would say to you that this is my favorite medium nib pen. It's this Delta 1 of 1. This is a special pen done for me by Nino Marino called the Napoli C. And that medium nib that was 14 karat or 18 karat, tuned by his son, who by now I think is a Nimmeister, is just my favorite. So this is Delta. It's just, I don't know what to say, folks. It has just a tiny bit of line variation, making it such that it kind of, a little bit of a sailor-like feel. if you know what I mean. And it is my favorite medium name. Favorite. Thank you to the Merinos. There you have it. Beautiful pen. I will cherish this for forever. There you go. So that's it. That's it for my weapons for next week. That's what we're going to do. We're going to put those in a nice big case, and we're going to enjoy those pens. Fortunately, I managed to ruin my Mirage, my Visconti Mirage Mythos, but that's okay. I'll try to find a solution to it. I think it's the sleeve. I have to find some tool that will get me to push down that sleeve all the way down to its right place. So there you have it, my weapons for next week, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the next segment. Okay, so we're back with the last segment, which is YouTube reviews. Well, it shows it's slow because there's not really anything out there from my regulars. I don't know if everybody's on vacation or have nothing to say, or everybody's at the Dutch pen show. I wish I was there. But not much to report there, guys. I really don't have anything outstanding to recommend. In terms of my own videos, I do. I'm going to show you here all of the videos that are ready to be published. The videos are done. The recording is done. It's just a question of which one I'm going to be publishing next week. You see here you have a bunch. You have the 149, 146 video. You can see that you have the M series from Pelican. You've got a couple of Chinese pens, as you can see there. I've got another titanium pen to propose. And added to that, I think I may end up adding that RS3 from Majon. If I get the RS2 in time this weekend, I'll probably publish a video reviewing both, since in my view, they're both kind of both pocket pens, if you will. So there you have it. And last week, please look at Panda Dwarf. I was very disappointed in the viewership of that video. And I hope it has more to say about the pen than it has about the undersign. But if you have the time, please encourage my channel. The algorithm will appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Please do. It takes a lot of work to do these recaps, but I just like to get the viewership up if I can. I want my subscribers to increase, etc., etc. It's always fun when you see that people recognize what you're doing. Thank you very much. Have a great week. Enjoy your pens, your paper, your ink. It's fountain pen therapy for all of us. Be good.